Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cami, and in today's video we're going to be doing a plan with me for my bullet journal. For this month's bullet journal, it's going to be very special because it is the month of May, and May is also the holiday for Mother's Day. And Mother's Day is very special to me for several reasons. One is this is my first year as a mother, and I am a new mom. I had my son last year, so this is going to be a really big one for me. And also because I've had a hard time dealing with this holiday in the past due to my infertility struggles, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that in today's video. But before we get started, I wanted to do a quick flip through so you guys have an idea of what you've been missing out. I honestly haven't had much time to do too much, and so I opted for a really simple spread for the month of April. And before I get too much into this, I wanted to ask you guys, let me know in the comments if you're interested in seeing plan with me videos for the month of April and March. I have recorded them, but I didn't really get around to editing them just because it's been super busy, but I don't know if you guys are still interested in seeing them even though the months have passed. Anyways, just let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see those videos even though they're a little bit outdated. This is the cover page for April. I wanted something super simple, so I stamped the flower of the month, which is a daisy. Luckily, I already had that stamp, but you can see I had a really simple quote here, and it says, "The shortest way to do many things is to do only one thing at a time." And one thing at a time was my theme for the month of April. I was having trouble with trying to do everything, and I just needed a little bit of guidance to make sure that I just had my priorities in order. And on the right side here, I have a monthly log, which is very simple and straightforward. I had my goals for the month, and I had a tiny section where I just dumped whatever I wanted to write in here, as well as a section for affirmations. Again, as you can see, I just fail so hard with doing anything every day. I do, I think, really well for maybe the first few times, and then I just completely drop off. And over here, I started doing daily logs because I realized that I just didn't have the time to set up any actual weekly logs. So I started writing just tasks every day, and as you can see, I trailed off at some point. And then in the last page here, I did a brain dump of what I wanted to do for this video, and that's pretty much all I had for the month of April. Again, I was super busy and I just didn't have the time to keep up with it. For this month's spreads, I'm going to be using a combination of my tried and true favorite supplies. Starting off with the color that I've chosen, I'm going to go a little bit more monotone this month. I have a Tombow Dual brush pen in the color N95. This is a really, really light gray. I have my trusty black wing pencil. And again, all these items you'll be able to find in my video description in an Amazon affiliate link, which means I get a little bit of a commission if you purchase from that link. I'll be using my Sakura Micron pens in a 01 and a 005. This one is just in blue. I think this was the Japan version, the version that's out in Japan. But other than that, it's the same exact pen. And I have a couple of brush pen here for some lettering. I have a Tombow Fudenosuke and a Pentel Touch sign pen. I like the difference in the flexibility of the nib. This one's a little softer, this one's a lot harder tip. And then a white gel pen. I usually like to use this for highlights, but you'll never know, I might make a mistake and I can cover that up. All right, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to toss you guys over to a voiceover, and hopefully we will have a wonderful spread to show in the end. Hey everyone, we are back in the studio with another voiceover. I really miss doing these, so hopefully I can get back to doing them again. For this video, I will be going back and forth between talking about what's happening in the video and then also sharing my infertility story with all of you. And you can take this as an official trigger warning for any of you guys who are struggling right now trying to conceive or are going through your own infertility struggles. But before I jump into that, I wanted to explain what's happening in the video. So I decided to do a lily of the valley for this month of May, and that is the May flower. I started off by sketching out the 2 stems that are coming out of these giant leaves at the bottom of the plant there, and I sketched out the little balls of the lily heads. And the way that I did this was I put a dot where I wanted the face of the flower to be facing, and I just drew the petals around it. So if it was facing towards me, that is how I drew the petals, and then if it was away from me, I drew them in a side profile, and this gave it a little bit more variety. And I also sketched a frame behind the word May to kind of tie in the entire illustration. And I'm going over it with a simple Sakura Micron in, I think, a size 01. And I really wanted something super simple for this month because, as I mentioned before, I just haven't really been keeping up with my bullet journal, and I'm considering possibly abandoning the bullet journal notebook. I still am doing the bullet journal system and I'm still decorating spreads, but I don't really think I'm a fan of this notebook, and I'll probably talk about it in another video, especially in the next month. I think I'll do a mid-year review so you guys can get to know my thoughts on that. And so I have a very simple spread here. I have the cover page on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I have a really powerful quote that I want to share with you all. But before I share the quote, I wanted to officially warn those that I'm going to talk about my miscarriage and my infertility. So if you just don't want to hear that, feel free to mute the video and just listen to your own music until the very end of the flip through, because from this point on, I'll mostly be talking about my miscarriage. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that Mother's Day was a very bittersweet holiday for me this year. It is officially the first year of being a mom, so it's a wonderful, and I'm just grateful to have gotten here, but also it's a little hard because my heart still is empty from the previous miscarriages that I've had. I don't think I have been able to really heal from it just yet. I think that I have a lot of inner work that I have to do, and I think part of talking about it in this video is going to help me get there. So I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to share that on this platform. Everyone has been super kind about it, and no one seems to hate it so much, but I thought it was appropriate for the month of May to talk about Mother's Day and what it means to me. So Mother's Day was really hard for me when I was dealing with my infertility. We got pregnant in 2016, really early on in me and my husband's dating phase, but of course we wanted a family, so we were going to go through with the pregnancy. That wasn't a question. And when we went for our first checkup, which happened to fall in between the holidays, we were not able to do the checkup right at 8 weeks, so it was maybe around 10 weeks, I think, when we actually went in, and they told us they couldn't hear a heartbeat. Of course, we were in denial and went to another doctor because obviously that doctor must be wrong, but of course that second doctor told us there was no heartbeat, and I think by the time we went to the third one, I finally got it sunken in because the doctor pointed at the ultrasound and told me that the yolk sac was collapsing. And I think at that point was when I finally accepted it and started crying. And I don't really want to go through the entire journey with you guys. I might save that for another video, but basically I had two options. I either terminate the pregnancy there and start fresh with a new menstrual cycle and try again, or wait for my body to begin the miscarriage process on its own. And I don't know if I'm comfortable sharing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I've had an experience with a termination in my past. I still have a really dark spot in my heart because of it, but I think it was due to that I decided that I would just wait, because if my body wasn't going to give up, I wasn't going to give up either. And I don't know, maybe when you're in that headspace, you kind of abandon reason and medicine and science, and you just want to believe that everybody else is wrong. And so my body held out for another 2 or 3 weeks, I think, because by the time I had my miscarriage, it would have been our 13th or 14th week. And my miscarriage was actually pretty brutal. We had to spend the night in the hospital, and I had to go into surgery the next day for an emergency D&C. And from there, I thought that, okay, the worst part is over. You know, we can move on and try again. But even that wasn't very straightforward. It took us, I think, 6 months before we were able to go to the doctor and tell them something was wrong, because my period hadn't come back. And they did a test and they found out there was scarring inside of my uterus from the emergency D&C. And so we had to do a couple more procedures to clear out the scarring. I think I had to go to another 2 D&Cs, and because of that, my period did come back, but it was really light and it was very unpredictable. And I think we tried again for almost another year before we were approved for fertility treatment. And I am kind of blowing through this, but that whole year was really difficult. I think when you're trying to conceive, it's really hard to understand what time is. You kind of live by your period date and when your next cycle is and when your next ovulation is, that you begin to live your life by your period. And that is exactly what was happening to me. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was going through a really deep, dark depression, and it was masked by me trying to stay busy with work. I ended up leaving work. I tried focusing on other things, and I just couldn't get being pregnant again out of my head. So I was really desperate at that point. And once the normal fertility treatments, like the hormone pills and everything like that, wasn't working, we were finally able to get a consultation with a actual fertility clinic for in vitro fertilization. That's IVF. And if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. But basically, they take my eggs and my husband's sperm and they put it together, and it creates an embryo that they transfer into my body, and we hope that a baby will grow. And so when we finally started that process, I think we were hopeful again, because obviously medicine, and with where we are now, possibly couldn't fail us. I'll probably make another video about the entire IVF journey, because I do have footage from that year or those years. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to see that. I can put it together and walk you through in more detail if there's anyone out there who's interested in it. I really found that talking to other people or learning from other experiences helped me go through it. So if you're going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing and just want me to share that, I will be more than happy to. Just let me know in the comments. But anyways, we harvested some eggs. We had about 18 eggs harvested, which is a really good number. From those eggs, we fertilized 10 of them. So that just cuts the number in half. And from those 10, only 6 made it to day 6, again, cutting the number in half. And from the 6, only 5 were viable. And I'm explaining the number count because for anyone out there who's struggling to conceive right now, I just want to show that even with the help of medicine, the numbers are just not there sometimes. So, don't beat yourself up if you're really trying and you don't know what's wrong. It's just really, really hard for some people, and it's more common than you think. But anyways, those 5 embryos was the hope that we had, and we transferred the first one, and the first one failed, which was kind of a shocker for us because for some reason we were naive again, and we thought that there was no way that it would fail now that we're putting all this money and effort into it. But it failed, and we had to try again. Well, we didn't have to. I just wanted to. I was, again, desperate. There's that desperate need to fill that hole in my heart from where there was a hope for a child. So we did 2 procedures back to back, which was almost 6 months of daily shots and hormones and doctor treatments and checkups, and that was my life for those 6 months. And we did a second transfer, and the second transfer also failed. And at this point, I think I had gotten pretty calloused to the heartbreak that I was numb almost, because I guess I felt that maybe I deserved it. I don't know if that's just my way of punishing myself to explain why it wasn't working, but I feel like when you have suffered a miscarriage, you blame yourself a lot, and even for the partner, they blame themselves a lot, and that's definitely what was happening. And at the time, I think we were about to schedule a 3rd try, but there was something in my heart that was telling me to take a break. And at first the break was just for a little bit, just so that I could get off the medication and, just reset a little bit. Because when you're dealing with that many hormones and the daily shots, some days or more than one shot, you don't feel good, and you do tend to get over emotional, and that was happening to me a lot. But anyways, we actually took a year off, and I went back to school to change my career path. I focused on myself. I spent more time with family and my husband, doing things that just were not related to getting pregnant. And I think that really helped me mentally to be in a better state, because prior to this, I was still reeling almost from my miscarriage, and there was this dark cloud over me the entire time. And by the time we were ready to try again for the 3rd time, my heart and my head was at a different place. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I was actually very happy to have gotten the news that our 3rd transfer was successful. I remember that day because my husband and I were about to go on a walk, and we've been doing daily walks since the last failed transfer, because one of the really important things is that my health was not so good. I was not exercising. I was eating terribly. I would just stay in bed all day. So we wanted to make some changes, and we were about to go on one of our daily walks, and we got a call, and the lady on the phone said that, congratulations, your transfer was successful. And my husband and I broke down crying, and we didn't even respond. And the lady even had to make sure we were still there. But of course, we were so happy. And I don't know if this is crazy or what, but I had an image of my son's face as soon as they said that. And it had been so long since I felt that hope again, that feeling of a future and of love that I was chasing the entire time. And so that's pretty much my history in a nutshell. Again, if you guys want to know more about the details of that journey, I'm more than happy to make another video, because I feel like that's what helped me get through it. So if you guys want to see that, please let me know in the comments. I also have a lot of footage from that time, which would be really nice to put together. But yeah, from there on, I was just so grateful. And I think every day I was super cautious and worried that something would take that away from me again. But I think that's just normal after you've been through something like we've been through. And of course, nothing crazy happened. The only thing is that my son was born 7 weeks early, which was a little nerve-wracking, but obviously with the technology and the medicine today, they handle those things really well now. And so we had our son safely, and he was welcomed into the world by me and my husband. And it's been a crazy ride ever since. But that brings me to, I guess, this next portion of the video where I talk about this quote. And I picked this quote because it really hits home for me and what Mother's Day means for me. So I'm gonna read it to you guys and share it with you. This quote is from an Instagram post I saw from the Mother Project, and it says, "The most difficult part of birth is the first year afterwards. It is the year of travail, when the soul of a woman must birth the mother inside of her. The emotional labor pains of becoming a mother are far greater than the physical pangs of birth. These are the growing surges of your heart as it pushes out selfishness and fear and makes room for sacrifice and love. It is a private and silent birth of the soul, but it is no less holy than the event of childbirth. Perhaps it is even more sacred." When I first read this post, I think it was when I finally understood what becoming a mother meant for me. It wasn't just having a baby because babies are awesome and cute and cuddly, or just proving to myself that I was actually worth something after my miscarriage. It was this transformation of becoming someone that I deep down always knew I was meant to be. And I'm sharing this on the May bullet journal spread because this entire year, the first year of my son's life, I have pushed myself so much harder than I've ever pushed myself before with all the things that I have going on, my job, my son, and the little sleep that I get. I have accomplished so much more than I ever thought I could. And comparing to when I was a lot younger and had more free time, I feel like I've done more things. And I know that it's because I went through what I went through, and I'm where I'm at now because of that experience. And if there are any of you who are listening and didn't mute me and you are going through the same exact things, I just want you guys to know that this is all part of your journey, and it is all part of what's making you a stronger person. And if I didn't go through all the things I went through in the past, I don't think I would have been as prepared to be my son's mom and do all these things that I'm doing now. And I'm so proud of myself for getting through that. So I know it's really hard to see right now, and if you're going through those really dark and terribly heartbreaking experiences, I'm really, really sorry, and I just want to give you virtual hugs, but don't give up and stay strong. And even if it seems like it's the end, you never know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing in life, and maybe this is all part of it. But anyways, I guess I haven't really talked about my bullet journal spread, but you can see that I am highlighting the weekends of my vertical calendar. Again, I really went for something super simple for this spread because I just knew I wasn't really going to be using this notebook all too much. I have a couple of other planners and systems that I'm using right now anyway, and so I don't really need multiple calendars. I've actually been using my phone a lot, which is really crazy. I only use my phone for events mostly, but now I'm putting my to-do list in my phone, and it's just really weird, but I'm going with the flow. Anyways, I'm going through the quotes section and I'm highlighting some of the lettering that I did just for a little bit of fancy decoration. But as you can see, it's a very, very simple spread. It's similar to what I did for the month of April, where I had a cover page and then just a vertical calendar with some little extras. But I feel like this setup has really worked for where I am right now in my life, and I want to encourage anybody who is struggling with trying to keep up with their bullet journal and you are falling behind to always try again next month, and also keep in mind that it's okay to simplify things and not make everything so pretty or perfect or fancy. It's not about the amount of spreads or how pretty your decoration is. It should just be functional. And moving to the only other spread that I created, I just decorated the far right hand side of the right page because, again, this is the part where my hand falls off the notebook anyway, and I have a terrible experience writing over the ledge of the notebook. So I drew another lily flower branch on the right hand side, following the same style that I did in the cover page, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really go too crazy again with this because I wasn't sure if I was going to use it. I really just wanted a place where I could put down any thoughts or my to-do lists, and I used to journal a lot in my bullet journal, but now that I have, I think, 4 other notebooks I'm journaling in, I don't really do that anymore. And I just use my bullet journal to write down tasks that don't really have a home in my other notebooks. While I'm finishing up here, I wanted to announce something very special to kind of lighten the mood. This video seems like it was such a downer, but I hope it was mostly motivating and encouraging. That was the goal. But I'm happy to announce that this month, to coincide with Mother's Day and this video and just this overall theme, I guess, for May, I am planning to do a soft product launch on some items that I have been really, really wanting to make. This is a product for anyone who has been going through struggles with infertility or miscarriage, or has lost a baby and just wants a little something to help ease the pain just a tiny bit, because I know that when I was going through it, anything that could lift my spirits up, I was just so willing to try. And I guess it also goes for any other mother who hasn't gone through that same experience, or even if you're not a mom, if you just love babies. I'm not going to go too much into what it is because I don't want to jinx it. I would rather make it first and show you guys once it's done. But I will be doing a soft launch, which means I'll have a very limited run of the products and I will offer them. Oh, you guys saw me drop my ink pad. I left it in here because I wanted you guys to see that I really am not perfect. I'm super clumsy actually all the time. But anyways, keep an eye out for that update coming to my channel. I will be releasing them around Mother's Day, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it in time for Mother's Day, but since it's a soft launch and I'm not actually opening up a shop or anything, I think it'll be okay. Another thing I'll be doing is opening up commissions for some art pieces, and I am going to go into detail once that is announced. I'm still trying to figure out a system where I could handle the commissions on top of everything else, but I'm just super excited to finally be exploring that option on my channel. And I have always dreamed of making art as a source of income, so I'm just really excited. And part of the reason why I'm doing this is actually because of my IVF journey. We have 2 more embryos waiting in the freezer, and they're both girls, and it's so expensive to do another transfer, and we don't have the help of our insurance anymore. Our insurance, which we are so grateful for, only covers 1 successful pregnancy. Once you have that, they no longer cover everything, so we would have to pay the full price, which I am totally fine with because I was just so grateful we were even able to do it that first time, since not a lot of people were able to do that. But anyways, that's the announcement. And so we are now doing the flip through, and as you can see, very simple spread. And if you're just coming back from being muted, thank you for sticking around, and I'm so sorry that it was such a difficult topic, but hopefully you were still able to enjoy. Anyways, simple cover page, again, simple calendar, and a really, really powerful quote. And the daily logs is just, again, a very simple setup. I wanted something that I would use all the time and not so much abandon, I guess, once things got busy, or even if I did abandon it, that it was okay. Anyways, this is all I have to talk about. I know it was kind of a lot, but again, I am really glad to have this platform to share all of these things with you. I think it really helps my healing process. So thank you guys so much for always being so kind and so thoughtful. I know that I am always so busy and all over the place, but I really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.